thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening today. As I've said before, and as I say at the beginning of every episode, it's your favorite brother, Joseph. You already know how it goes. And I really want to talk to y'all today about some things that are on my mind. I always have stuff on my mind. That's why I started a podcast. That's how it works, right? Before I do that, though, if this podcast has been of any benefit to you, or if you know somebody that, could benefit from any of the things that we talk about here, we talk about self-help topics, we're talking about cultural topics, anything. If you know someone that could benefit, please tell them to subscribe to us, send them an episode, share it with your family and friends. And then, of course, on social media, you can always follow us and shoot us a DM at _ I had to correct this last time because I said it wrong, but it's at _ full circle pod on Instagram. So as I mentioned every single time, we will have TikTok, Blue Sky, all that other stuff coming up very, very shortly. I like my hat today. I like my hat. Can we switch to camera number 3 over here? I feel like the GOAT today. I just do. I feel pretty good. I'm feeling myself. I do. And I think this fit looks fire. So, you gotta believe in yourself. If nobody else believes in you, you gotta believe in yourself and you gotta feel good about it. Now that I got that out the way, I want to get a little bit on topic today. If you've never listened to us here at Full Circle Pod, we are always about authenticity and diving into topics, right? Whether that's self-help, culture, just pretty much anything. We want to talk about these things with common sense, clarity, and authenticity. And a big part of that is me being, real with y'all about where I'm at, because I really believe, there goes a thumbs up as always, thank you. I think the computer's now telling me I'm doing a good job at being honest, whatever. But I really love kind of giving you guys a little bit of my background and a story for myself about the things that I'm trying to tackle in my life. Cause I feel like nobody wants to hear somebody practice what they preach. Someone wants to hear, or most people want to hear you preach what you practice, right? And so for me, this has been a huge journey. I love self-help. I love personal development, whether that's fitness, man. I love working out. That is so fun for me. But I also love talking with my friends about just things that we can, learn from in our life, whether that's, learning how to become better communicators, getting more fit, diving into spirituality, diving into our connection with friends and family, just things like that, right? Or just becoming a better person overall. And so that's why I pretty much feel like these conversations that I'm having in my life with my friends and just even strangers that I'm meeting, because you can find inspiration any and everywhere. I'm finding that I'm bringing these conversations now with me into what I'm sharing with you. And so I want to hear from you as well. If any of this is relevant to your life, or if there's anything that you would love to hear us talk about on the podcast. With that being said, I have a question for all y'all today. And there's no shame. It is no shame. But I do have to ask you, are you an addict? Now, you might say, slow your roll, Joseph. Slow your roll. I'm not addicted to anything. All right. Like, I don't do hard drugs, right? Like, I'm not out here doing cocaine. I'm not out here shooting it up to the heavens with heroin or anything like that. But I want you to step back and look at some micro, and this is a no shame conversation. Even if you're doing all that stuff, right? There's still hope for you, right? We like to be honest. We like to be transparent. But are you in any way of your life dealing with any addictions? Today, I specifically want to talk about, because we could go real deep. We could go real deep on the addiction topic. But today, I really want to talk to you about, like, are you addicted to social media and your phone? Now, a lot of you might be out there like, don't come for my head, bro. You're coming for my neck. I just say this for myself because I have been taking a break away from social media a little bit more recently, especially towards the end of the year, last year, and taking some time to reflect on everything that's happened in the last couple of months, but also just the whole year in general. And I really started thinking to myself, like, yo, what really matters in my life? Like, what's most important to me, and what am I making time for? And I realized that sometimes it can be super easy to scroll on Instagram or TikTok. And don't get me wrong, I love Instagram, I love TikTok. I think they're great tools. Like, what am I doing right now? Okay, like I have to use so much of those platforms to make the content that I'm making and share with y'all. But what I realized is a lot of times when I'm just trying to like zone out or kind of escape something, social media, while it can be a tool for good, it can also be a distraction. And it can actually be used to pull me out of the stuff that's actually breaking me down on the inside. Right now, obviously, I could apply this conversation to anything. I could apply it to you're dealing with issues in your life, so you are always going out. You're always like partying, right? You might have had a breakup recently, or you may have lost a friend, and instead of confronting that feeling, you're going out. You might be out there like partying, or just like you don't want to be alone, because you know when you're alone, you get surrounded by your own thoughts, and it feels like a tsunami. Or a tsunami of an avalanche of a flood of a thing, right? And that's a lot of natural disasters. But I have realized that a lot of times we're using social media and we're using our phones, communicating with others, to escape the privacy of our pain and feeling like stuck in that privacy. And I know I've done it, man. I like I said, I'm first to admit. That's why I even brought this up today, right? So paint the bullseye right here, okay? If you feel like I'm coming for you right now, just hear me. I'm talking about myself. I know there are so many times where, there have been times in the past where I've walked into a room and I felt like a little bit like awkward or a little bit weird, which, I mean, I'm a people person. I love people. I love to talk to new people, love to meet them. But sometimes we all have that feeling where you're just like, oh man, I kind of feel weird right now, or I feel like I don't know anybody, or I feel a little uncomfortable. And then your brain starts talking to you. You start running that feedback loop from hell about all the negative thoughts and ideas you have about yourself in that space. And then you are looking for a distraction. So you pick up your phone. You start scrolling on social media. You start going to something. Let me ask y'all, have any of y'all done this? You might even feel like I'm calling you out more after this. Have any of y'all done this where like you're in a space by yourself, or you might feel like a little bit embarrassed, so you pick up your phone, you pretend to be on a phone call? Have any of y'all done that? I have. Can I be real with y'all? I have before. It's embarrassing, but it's true. And if we're gonna be transparent and honest and open, we do really, really weird stuff when we feel really, really weird ways. And the reason why I want to be able to admit it and be honest is because I want y'all to be able to be open about it and feel like it's okay. This is like something that I've actually been experiencing this more recently. Let's bring the camera back over here. I've been experiencing this recently. I don't know if you guys have done this, but have you ever gone on those trends on like TikTok or Instagram, but mostly TikTok, where people will start talking about like stuff that they've done, like, oh, what did you like sharing stories like, oh, to get out of a test, this is what I did, right? Like someone went and pulled the fire alarm, right? And then someone will give another story about something crazy that they did. What I'm beginning to realize is, as I'm using social media and like looking at different stories, I'm like, I'm not alone, bro. I'm not as weird as I'm weird. Okay. This nigga's a little weird, but there's a lot of weird niggas out there. Okay. And I started realizing like, I'm not alone in that. And that's part of what I'm talking about, where you'll see people, they get so uncomfortable or they get so awkward in a moment, they'll pull out their phone. Maybe you don't pretend to be on a phone call, all right? Maybe that's just the actor in me. I don't know. The dramatized version of everything appears here. But maybe you're the type of person where you pull out your phone and you might like start texting or doing nothing until you bypass a person or an uncomfortable thing. Maybe you thought someone was a little attractive, whatever, and you didn't know what to do. So you kind of looked down, you got a little awkward, right? I think we've all been there before. You may not want to admit it. When you do want to admit it, come out of hiding. I'll be right here. I'll be right here waiting for you. But I think that we all have had those moments in our life where we just feel a little bit awkward and we run to social media. The reason why I'm bringing this up today is because I believe that the problem in and of itself is not just the use of social media or the use of phones. That they're great. They're great tools. They're like fantastic. I can meet somebody that's thousands and thousands of miles away in another country, and we can become friends and we can start building we can build a business together. We can connect. We can, man, shoot, before you know it, you can be in a relationship with someone in a different country and you talking to their mom for the first time and y'all mamas never met, but y'all now she's acting like you part of the family and then you come visit and next thing you know, you're more in than the dude that has been trying to get at the girl that lives in the same neighborhood. You get what I'm saying? You see where this is going? You can reconnect with people that you never thought you would be able to reconnect with, or you thought that you got lost, but all you remembered was their name. You had a name and a dream. That was it. And now all of a sudden, you guys are sharing memories, right? But social media in many ways also has the potential to expose our deepest, darkest pains, our deepest, darkest insecurities, and our deepest, darkest. Look, that's another word. Some weirdo out there is gonna be like, dark rest. Let's turn that into a game on the internet. Please don't do that. But it has the potential to expose our deepest, darkest insecurities, pains, and even shame. And we get reactions off of this. I want to talk to you guys about this for just a second, because I do believe that learning, right? Learning to kind of take a step back and realize when you're using something versus when something is using you is so important in life, because that will really help you to put things into perspective. Okay. So let me ask you this. In any way, how do you define, an addiction? An addiction is something that has more control over you than you have over it. It's where you cannot use a particular thing or engage in a particular thing without being able to pull away from it and be able to function normally. An addiction is something that grabs hold of you and you need it to function, right? It's like a crutch for life, right? So let me ask you this. I want to ask you a couple questions. These are just temperature check, no judgment, temperature check. Do you scroll social media while watching television? I'm talking about a show that you want to watch, okay? I've been watching a couple new shows. Severance is one of them. January 17th, it is coming back out. I'm not sponsored by Apple TV, but Apple, hey, listen, if you love me, pop on in. But I've been watching Severance lately. I love that show. I am around friends that sometimes I'll be watching TV shows with them. We'll be watching like the basketball game and they're on their phone. I'm like, dog, how do you do this? Like, I'm so locked in right now. And to me, I'm just like, are y'all even interested in the game right now? Hello, what's going on? But I want you to ask yourself, if there's something that you want to do, you want to relax, you want to watch a show, you're talking with a friend, do you scroll social media while watching TV or engaging in something that you're supposed to be doing for recreation? That's number one. Number two, do you feel, and I hate this word because people used to say this a lot a couple years ago, but do you feel a little FOMO, or do you feel like you're kind of like left out when you haven't been on social media for a couple of hours or on your phone? Do you? Let me know. Have you ever deleted a post? Ooh, I know. I already know the answer to this one. Have you ever deleted or archived a post in your life? Not the new refined 2025. It's only been 7 days in version of you that's trying to be better. But at any point in your life, have you ever archived or deleted a post because it did not get enough likes? Next, does your phone screen time report scare you every single Sunday that you look at it? And I only ask these temperature check questions because I want us to really think about like how we're being impacted. These are just questions to ask yourself. Write these down. Ask yourself throughout the day, because sometimes we're just rolling through life without thinking. It becomes like an autopilot behavior, right? This is really important. And this got me. I read this. Do you know that the average time that's spent on social media daily is 2.5 hours? That doesn't sound like a lot. That doesn't sound like too much if you really think about it. For some of y'all, that's like, oh, Lord, you should see my screen time. Y'all should see my app time, my screen time. But 2.5 hours, that's a lot of time. That time that y'all are saying you don't have to go to the gym, that time you're saying that you don't have the time to develop the business idea, the time that you say you don't have to start going on runs and just spending time with, people that you care. That's a lot of time. A pet peeve for me, I'll tell y'all a pet peeve for me, and I got to bring the camera over here just because of this. You know, a big pet peeve is for me? When I'm talking to someone on the phone, I hate picture in picture. But I also love picture in picture because, when you're driving and you got like your Apple Maps or Google Maps or Waze for all y'all chaotic people that like to leave late and need that traffic thing to redirect you. Yeah, I'm a recovering Waze user. I love to have that open because I can like watch podcast or whatever, or even FaceTime. I know this sounds so crazy. Lord, please don't get me. But even FaceTiming while I'm driving, because, it's not like on the whole screen. But I still got my map up there, and I'm technically not looking. I'm looking at the road. I got my eyes on the road. Don't get me wrong. But when I'm FaceTiming somebody, and you all had those moments where you're FaceTiming someone, and you're like, yeah, and they're locked in with you, right? Like, so look at me. This is my FaceTime. If you're watching right now this podcast, look at me. If you're listening, sorry, but I'm looking over here, and then a couple seconds later, you see them be like, oh, yeah, dude, I remember that. And then you ask them a question, and they're like, the crazy, and I'm like, you're not paying attention, are you? That is a pet peeve of mine. But you know what's crazy? I've done it so many times. And I think that what happens is that when we're on our phones and doing all this stuff because we're in one app, we're in the next app, we're so distracted because of what we're doing that it starts affecting our interpersonal relationships. It starts affecting the way we communicate with our friends and our family. We're not locked in. We're not locked in, I believe, because we're so locked out of what's going on really internally with us that we're not really locked in to what's happening with the people that are in our circles and around us. We're so busy trying to numb what's going on or distract ourselves that we're not locked in. I never thought that was possible, to be locked out because you're locked in. You can flip that. You can be so locked in that you're locked out. You can be so locked into what's going on here that you're distracted from what's going on everywhere else. You're locked out of the reality of what's happening around you. But like, that's such a pet peeve of mine, man. And I realize, how many times do I do the exact same thing that I hate in other people? But it's because I'm distracted or because something pops up. And I don't think it's that we don't care. I don't think it's that we don't think our friendships are important or that family's not important. But we just get we're so locked into what's happening, or we're so distracted and pulled, because that's the definition of distraction, is to be pulled apart. Something's competing for your attention. And we're trying to figure out how to prioritize it. But the thing about it is, none of us want to be left out. And that's why these apps, I think, are everywhere, because they're competing for attention globally. We don't want to be left out of what's happening all over the place in our friend circles. We don't want to miss the next trend or the next video. So we're trying to always be part of that. And then we're scrolling and trying to figure out, why am I even doing this, right? I want to talk about this from a scientific perspective, because there's some of y'all out there that are listening. It's like, yeah, Joseph, that's really, really cool, but what about the science? Well, I got you on the science, okay? I have referenced this podcast before. Like I said, I love Chris Williamson's Modern Wisdom podcast. So if you're listening to this, you can always take a listen to that. I like facts, okay? Like, I love discussing ideas, but I really like facts behind them. And I think that understanding this from a scientific perspective, if you're just like, I'm broken, I'm like, you're not. you might need a little bit of you might have a little crack, but you're not broken. We got you. So right over here, I want to take y'all to this video. And he recently had Dr. Andrew Huberman on his podcast, and he talked about why social media can be so addicting. And I'm going to let the expert speak on the matter here. So give me just 1 second. Let's go ahead and pull this one up. Check this out. He's going to talk about how literally addiction to your cell phone and social media can be the exact same as being a cocaine addict. Here we go.
The thing about cell phones is when you first get on there and you haven't, let's say you're no Wi-Fi on the flight or something, and you land, it can actually be quite stimulating. You get a lot of dopamine. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that. But very quickly, when you're scrolling on social media, you're no longer getting the novelty, but you're continuing to do it and you almost don't know why you're doing it. At that point, it shifts over to something that's a bit more like an obsessive compulsive behavior, where we can define an obsessive compulsive behavior where the obsession leads to a compulsion. So the obsession is a thought, the compulsion is a behavior, but the acting out of the compulsion merely serves to increase the obsession.
Okay, let's pause it right there. Do you see how crazy that is? It's a behavior. It's like dopamine. Or it fills up dopamine in your brain because you're like, okay, here we go. Let me get to the next thing. But then what ends up happening is the obsession for that thing then leads to compulsive behavior, but there's no end to that feedback loop. Okay. So you're now being driven. Check this out.
Right. This is very different than being obsessed with food or obsessed with cleanliness.
There's no payoff.
Right. Exactly. There's no anxiety relief by carrying out the compulsion. With OCD behaviors, like scrolling social media, the dopamine quickly wanes, and then you find that you're just sort of, and we've all been there, you're scrolling, you're like, why am I doing this? This isn't that interesting. This isn't that interesting. Now, the algorithms for social media are very clever, and I don't want to demonize it. I provide a lot of my life is spent on, on social media now, but in the algorithms that they've incorporated function on the most powerful way to keep people doing a behavior, or an animal for that matter, is intermittent random reward, or random intermittent reward, that you don't know when you're going to hit the jackpot. So you're scrolling, and then you see something. Typically it's very high, what, in nerd speak, we'd say signal to noise. So if you're reading some interesting things, this came out in the news, this came out, and then it's all of a sudden a riot, or a person that is base jumping off of.
So that's something really important to pay attention to. What he's basically saying, and of course you guys can always go ahead and you can watch the episode a little bit later if you'd like. But what he's really saying here is that for so many people, when it comes to this, they are scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and then boom, there's something exciting. So you're continuing down this loop and you don't want to miss something, but it's literally like an endless abyss of content, and you don't even know why you're engaging with it. And it has the exact same effect. There's another study that I looked at here. I want to show y'all right over here, where it says that the phenomena of social media addiction can be largely attributed to the dopamine including social environments that social networking provides people. Studies have shown that the constant stream of retweets, likes, and shares from these sites can cause the brain's reward area to trigger the same kind of reaction seen with drugs like cocaine. In fact, neuroscientists have compared, this is crazy, social media interaction to a syringe of dopamine being injected straight into the system. So, you know what's wild about that, y'all? That basically just means that all of this, the way this stuff is set up, and I do believe that the big problem with this is there's a lot of unethical social media production where it's essentially an experiment. You're essentially being experimented on. All of us, in a sense, are kind of being experimented on with social media because we've never had this before. And yet all of a sudden it's in all of our hands and we're all dealing with it and we all interact with it and it's part of our world. And you wake up and you think, what did I do in my life before this? People are being left on red. Like, we're having new ways of interacting, even the dating part of the world and our friendships. We now are getting left on red, and that's now being used as a way of a psychology to get back at people or to ignore people or to give them the hint they're not interested instead of directly communicating. And obviously, like, the world develops and we utilize avenues and ways of communication as always. But this is something that it's affecting our behavior. It's affecting the way that we interact. It's affecting the way we feel about ourselves and the people that are around us. And it's actually, I believe, it's killing our focus. It's encouraging procrastination because we're always looking for the next thing. It's not even real for that matter. Like social media, the stuff, that world is not real. We're creating a world. We're building a world that's not real. It's increasing our anxiety. It's making us more depressed and giving us self-esteem problems because we're comparing our everyday life to someone's highlight reel. We are feeling anxious that if someone didn't read our message or if they left us on read, we're wondering how they feel about us. And we're feeling more depressed because we feel like we're missing out on things. And we're questioning ourselves constantly. Am I good enough? I'm working so hard, but somebody else is achieving sooner than me. And we're comparing our worst moments to somebody's best highlights. I want to encourage you today. If that's you, reconstruct, disconnect, and reprogram. That's so important in your life. I really think that really another thing that it has on your life, not just physical or not just mental health effects and relational effects, but it also affects your body. So many people are dealing with eye strain. People are dealing with, there's a whole thing about GABA production in the brain. I'm not even sure if you guys are familiar with this, but the constant use of your phone, it actually affects like GABA production in the brain. And I actually want to talk about this. I'm going to have one of my friends who actually works in therapy to come on and talk about this, with how that affects your ability to rest at night. It affects your ability to calm down, makes you feel more anxious. These things are impacting the way that we live. And so when you begin to realize that this is affecting your life, if you can relate, how are we going to practically make changes? Well, let me give you a couple ways to do that, because I always love practical ways. Number one, your life and your health is more important than a trend, than feeling wanted, not being wanted. Think about that. But the feeling of being wanted often, because often that feeling of being worth it is more important to us than the actual value that's being provided. So really take a step back and look at your life and say, okay, wait a minute. What am I becoming? Who am I becoming? Take some time to turn off notifications for non-essential apps. I'll tell you all this. I like to put my phone on focus mode. I can't tell you how many people have gotten mad with me because I didn't respond to a DM. I didn't respond to a text. Now, don't get me wrong. We could all be better at communicating. But for me, it's like I've got stuff in my life I'm trying to accomplish in this real world that affects me in the actual everyday heartbeat, dollars and cents aspect of my life. I'm trying to accomplish that. And I think we got to really take a second and step back and be like, okay, wait, what's important to me? Put your phone on focus mode. Now, if there's apps that you need to come through or phone calls you need to come through, cool. But I always say, put your phone on focus mode and get your stuff done. Number two, set a timer. Accomplish what you need to accomplish and set a timer. Number three, set screen time for yourself and be accountable and stick to that screen time. Don't be putting that password time limit in where you okay, I have a time limit set, but then you have the password to your time limit. That defeats the purpose of it. It does. So try to really stick to that. Start setting up phone-free zones. Like when it's bedtime, put your phone away. Or when you're having dinner with your friends. I know we all love a good Instagram photo. We all love a good boomerang. We are all Insta hoes. I get it. We all love to post a good video about but can we step back? You are not a Kardashian, and I get it. We all want to do this. We all want to be social media influencers, whatever. But take your photo, take your picture, and when we're at the table with friends, can we just start being present? Can we start connecting with the people that are in our life? I think that would be so important. Take some detoxes. Take a step back, 24 hours, 2 weeks, step off social media, walk around, go sit at a park. Don't take a picture of nature. Be in it. Be part of it. Get a journal. Stop taking notes in your phone. I get, for all my creative people, I know it's hard. I do it all the time. But start carrying an actual book around with you when you go to just a coffee shop or a park bench or just somewhere that you want to get away from the noise of life. Because oftentimes the tools that are on our phones are great, but they get so muddied up and muddled with the notification that pops up or the text message or the call or the video or the trend that pulls up on our phone. So like start finding different ways to detox yourself. Pick up a hobby, learn a new skill, right? Start spending more time with your friends unplugged and your family. Be outdoors. A lot of times if you're looking for creativity, the very reason why you're not getting creative ideas is because you're so busy looking at other people's creations instead of being part of creation all around you, instead of being part of life all around you and being a creator yourself. When you remove yourself from the distraction, you open yourself up to the details that are all around you. So I just want to tell you guys all of that. And then just finally in closing, I want to just say, take some time and ask yourself, really be mindful about what's happening in your life. I know a lot of people are like, I'm a mindfulness guru. I know everything about the world. Let me teach you. Stop the nonsense. Okay. I believe in mindfulness. I'm all big on that. But a lot of people that I've met that do that, a lot of times they be doing a lot of the talk and they be some of the most messed up people. So that's why I don't like talking to people from a place of knowing more. I like to talk to you from like, this is where I'm at and this is what I'm going through too. Okay. But listen, this struggle that you're dealing with in your life is real, but it's also manageable. If you find it hard, talk to a friend about it. Talk to somebody that you trust and really see if this is something that you can get under control. If you're struggling with body image, or if you're struggling with like self-image, or you're struggling with self-worth, start talking to your friends around you. Don't use social media as a crutch to fix it. Because the truth is there's worth inside of you. There's worth inside of every single person. And you won't discover that through somebody else's lens. I say this a lot, and my dad always says this to me. If you are living for somebody else's approval, you will die by their rejection. And I know we talked about rejection a little bit last time, but I really want you to recognize that you are in control, not social media, not other people's opinions. Your phone is supposed to be a tool, not a chain. It is supposed to empower you, not imprison you. So use these things wisely, all right? Like look up every once in a while too. Like the world is out there. It's waiting for you. There are beautiful things happening in your life all around you. And yeah, like really think about everything. Take a second, really stop and think, why am I doing this? Why is this important to me? Don't become a human doing that you forget to be a human being. Because a human doing is on autopilot, but a human being is on purpose. And I really want y'all to really think about that. Also, take part in, I'll just say this lastly to you, take part in the joy of being present. There is a joy in being present. I'm working on this myself. Trust me, I have not arrived. Being present is so important because at the end of the day, anytime I start getting distracted or caught up in stuff or not thinking presently, I start thinking I could die tomorrow. Now, I know that might sound a little morbid for some of y'all, but really think about it. All this stuff we're worried about, all the approval of other people and trying to win them over to our side and trying to feel better about ourselves. We could die tomorrow. This could all be over. And the people like our family, our friends, the dreams that we're pursuing, those things that nobody dies thinking to themselves, oh man, I wish that person just loved me more, or I wish they didn't reject me, or I wish I could get more likes. We're always thinking about, could I get more time back so that I could spend it with the people that I love, doing the things that I wanted to do, to not have any regrets in my life, or to not take life for granted. I want y'all to do that. Embrace the joy of being present. And I think it'll lead to better mental health. I think it'll lead to better connections, better conversations. You're going to feel so much better about it too. Listen, if you've enjoyed this episode, if this made sense to you in any way, shape, or form, even if you didn't like it, if you have something to say, squabble up. Say something to me. You want to get bold? come have a conversation. No, I'm just playing. But listen, if y'all like this episode, please feel free, leave me a comment, shoot me a DM. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to subscribe, like this post, share with your friends on social media, and then get off, okay? And think about what we talked about today. But once again, on social media, especially on Instagram, it is _ let's get that right, _ full circle pod. And I'm really, really thankful for the fact that you guys tuned in today. Share this with a friend, share this with a loved one, share it with a stranger. And we will see you next time here on the Full Circle Pod. Have a great one from your favorite brother, and from your favorite brother. And listen, I appreciate y'all coming here. Live out your dreams, live out your goals. And always, always remember, you and everything that's happening in your life always becomes a little bit more clear when you bring life full circle. Take care.